How's it going, everyone? It's Ken from Pixelated Thoughts, and yes, I do believe that Wolong Fallen Dynasty is one of the easier Souls-likes out there. That doesn't mean it's not without challenge, but the developers do give you a lot of tools and mechanics that will help you in your journey to getting to the end. I did beat every enemy in the game. I did beat every boss, so there will be spoilers. So let's dive in. Let's start with the low-hanging fruit, and that is the NPC partners. Now, yes, I am going to admit that I do believe that the NPC partner's biggest purpose in this game is to serve as a distraction. They are very helpful in exploration when you are attacking a group of enemies, which I really recommend you don't do in this game, unless you're comfortable with parrying, unless you're comfortable being surrounded. The NPC partner is more than likely going to draw aggro at all times. Even in boss fights, when you are attacking these bosses, if they don't have a big AoE tech or they don't have like a quick sweep to turn them around, you will more than likely be able to get off a lot of damage and whittle down their spirit posture so that you can break it and then hit a critical. I found it interesting for the most part in this game that with NPCs, they don't do a lot of damage. They will try to be a little bit dumb sometimes. Like if you get into a smaller cramped area, they'll try to find dumb ways to get around and they will drag enemies towards you, which is really hilarious, but also a pain in the ass. In boss fights, I mainly use the NPC partners to just give myself time to buff myself, heal myself, and do damage. That was it. I didn't use them for anything else. It was interesting because there are boss fights in which the NPC partners are useless. They will absolutely just get in your way because imagine you are dealing damage. You have the boss's attention the entire time. You're going on a one-on-one. You're getting into a flow state. You're parrying. You're dodging. You're getting all your attacks in. And then your partner comes from behind, hits them once, draws aggro, and immediately takes them across the screen. It is a nightmare when you are trying to manage that in the game, especially in critical boss fights in which you need to be at your best, because parrying is such a key mechanic in this game. And when an NPC draws them away, it is hilarious because they will die almost immediately for challenging, and you are trying to save your divine beast ability for yourself, but instead you're like, maybe I can pick them up. But I recommend for anyone out there, if you want to turn off the NPC, do so. If you want to not pick them up ever, I recommend that too, because they're just going to get in your way and it can be frustrating as hell. But the NPC partners in this game, make no mistake, they make this game a whole lot easier because they will absolutely do what they're supposed to, and that is distract. Next up is the battle flags. Wolong wants you to explore. They want you to find these battle flags because they help set your morale rank. They will increase it, and thus will put you on an even playing field with the enemies, because as you'll notice when you're moving along, enemies scale with you and they will get stronger as you go through the level. And when you get to that boss fight, they are normally set at 20. The bare minimum that you can be at to make a fight viable, or at least feasible, is 14. I'm saying that because regardless of what gear or equipment you're using, if you are under that, you will more than likely get killed. Your morale rank matters more in a level than your actual level does. And you'll see that with some of the fights that I'm in, my rank is lower and I'm barely doing any damage. I am just praying that I'm chipping away just enough and being smart enough, because if I take a hit, it's going to take about 3/4 of my health away. And I have pretty good gear in these videos, and it was really surprising to see how much of a focus and emphasis there is on moral rank. Now, while an NPC partner does help in these situations, they're barely a crutch because their moral rank is tied to you. So if they're in combat and your moral rank is low and you're fighting a higher enemy, they're going to get killed quickly, and so are you. It's just important to bear in mind, if you want to explore and you want to make this game easier, the moral rank matters. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, Ken, parrying is fucking hard in this game. Wrong. Parrying actually has a pretty forgiving window. It really does. You can be at the tail end of the animation and parry. Just what it is. You can parry projectiles, you can parry magic, And you really want to parry the critical arts in which the enemies light up, because then it opens them up for you to do critical damage. So parrying as you go along in the game does get a lot easier. And as you learn how to parry and you get more comfortable, especially when you're fighting like human bosses, you can parry them at any point. Sometimes they'll stagger and you can just open them up for big critical damage. It is important that early on in the game, when you are playing Wolong, that you get comfortable parrying. That it's okay to take certain hits. You can also hold L1 or left bumper to block. You can also use that in conjunction with parrying. But if you don't learn how to parry, you're making the game harder on yourself because you're just not doing enough damage. Parrying is life in this game. You will absolutely walk right through Wolong if you learn how to parry. And we're talking every enemy has a tell. Every boss has a tell. Some of them can be pretty fast, but as long as you tap that button quickly, you will parry very fast. So parrying is incredibly important in this game and will save you. So if you're a Neo fan, you remember all those talisman builds that helped break the game, right? That made it super easy because all you had to do was just cast Tortoise, debuff, increase attack, buff weapon, and then just kill, right? You would absolutely melt enemies. In Wolong, it's not really like that, although I'm pretty sure there are builds out there that you can look up right now that'll make you incredibly strong and powerful. But with magical builds, they really help, especially when you want to clear and explore areas by yourself or you want to solo bosses. For example, I was fighting Lubu, and one of my builds is I have an ability in which I heal upon attack. It increases my damage. I do not get staggered, or my defense is also higher, and I have something that helps me build my Divine Beast gauge quickly, which is super important, especially in fights that you're not comfortable with, you're new to, you don't know like the enemy's tendencies yet. Your Divine Beast will save you. These magical builds that you can create, this flexibility allows you to at least be capable in a lot of these fights. Now, it may not necessarily help melt enemies. I'm pretty sure there are better offensive builds, especially like that emphasize poison, which by the way, poison builds in this game are stupid and they do incredible amounts of damage. But the right magic build will save you in some of these situations. It is very important to pay attention to that. Like, that's something that I really think developers were trying to push because there's no stances in this game. They're like, look, here's magic, please use it. It's going to save you. It's going to make the game a whole hell of a lot easier. So I guess if you want to make this game hard, don't use magic too. I'm happy to report that in Wolong, the Divine Beast are a humongous leap from the yokai abilities in Neo 2. Not necessary to say that they don't break the game, but the right Divine Beast build can make all the difference, especially in boss battles that are really difficult and require a great deal of attention. If you have a certain Divine Beast build, for example, I like to use the healing one because its active ability allows me to heal instantaneously and it creates a regenerative ring around me. Its passive ability buffs my weapon with lightning and also halves my damage, which I believe all of the passive abilities do for the Divine Beast. And you can do some incredible damage if you have the correct build while using certain passive abilities. But that healing ability, let me tell you, that is a lifesaver in certain boss fights, especially if you are trying to fight bosses at a lower morale rank. So if I'm saying, for example, if I'm fighting a boss that's like level 20 and I'm level 14, and I have this Divine Beast ability that will heal me and use Regenerative Ring, I'm using it. I need to live. The other thing is that with the magic ability to increase your Divine Beast gauge, it absolutely allows you to at least get 3 to 4 uses of that Divine Beast ability during a boss fight, because then some of them can be pretty lengthy. So these Divine Beasts absolutely make the game easier. And they can make every encounter in this game manageable, especially as you're learning how to parry and fine-tune some of the mechanics that are found in Wolong. If you use the Divine Beast, you will be successful. I know that there are going to be individuals who watch this video and say to themselves, this guy has no idea what he's talking about, this game is way too hard for me. But as you can see, I was almost 10 to 15 levels under the actual required level for the final boss. And I soloed that entire level just using all the tools that I had at my disposal in terms of magic and the divine beasts and being just competent at parrying. You didn't have to be great at parrying, just be competent. And finding all the battle flags to ensure that you're at least at an even level with the enemies you face. I feel like if you do all of that, you can be successful. And if you want to add, just to make the game a little easier, just use the NPCs to your advantage. I promise you, you'll be just fine. It's one of those games where I feel like it's not as tough as Neo. I feel like Neo was pretty difficult. I feel like the Dark Souls games are way harder. I feel like Bloodborne's way harder than Sekiro. This is a nice Souls-like experience. Really fun, really solid. You'll have a good time as long as you use the mechanics available to you. So if you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. Have a good one, everyone.